right, so you know who Blake Lively is, right? Most people know her. Yeah, see, the people who are booing, they know.
I can also tell you personally, back when I was an intern at Glamour magazine, working under an editor, she said the most difficult person that she has ever worked with and the rudest person that she had ever worked with was Blake Lively.
Justin says that Blake was determined to make him the real-life villain in her story.
Defendant Blake Lively has unequivocally left them with no choice, not only to set the record straight in response to Lively's accusations, but also to put the spotlight.
Lively's complaint accuses Baldoni, who is also the film's director, of creating a hostile work environment and trying to ruin her reputation.
She has a history of saying, okay, I'll be the star, but what I secretly want to do is direct it and edit it and produce it. I want all the roles for me and only me. I want full control because I am a controlling bully.
Hollywood's golden girl is officially crumbling, and honestly, it's about time. Blake Lively, once America's sweetheart, is now drowning in lawsuits, bad PR, and the kind of scandals that would make Amber Heard take notes.
And Blake Lively, who I believe thought she would be received or perceived as an Alyssa Milano or Ashley Judd Me Too victim, is instead looking a lot more like Amber Heard.
Megyn Kelly just obliterated her public image, co-stars are backing away like she's contagious, and suddenly, Hollywood's perfect power couple doesn't look so perfect anymore?
Most of us, especially in Republican politics or the news, this is called Tuesday for us. It's like, grow up. You're in the public eye. You've got probably hundreds of millions thanks to your husband. Just shut up. No one cares that you got a couple of bad articles about you in the Daily Mail.
But here's the real kicker. Blake did this to herself. This isn't just some bad PR cycle or a minor controversy that'll blow over in a few weeks. No, this is years of carefully curated deception, manipulation, and industry backstabbing finally catching up to her. The same Hollywood machine that helped build her up is now watching her spiral, and for the first time, it looks like no one's stepping in to save her. So, how did we get here? How did Blake Lively go from a beloved A-lister to Hollywood's latest cautionary tale? Well, it all starts with a lawsuit so dramatic it could have been ripped straight from a soap opera. And trust me, this story is messier than anything she ever starred in.
And Brian Friedman knows how to fight back against a bully. Trust me. And he started telling everybody Justin Baldoni's side. He told us that Justin Baldoni denied those claims of sexual harassment and only tried to appease Blake Lively because she was such a high-maintenance diva bully brat. He had to bend over backwards just to get her to shut up and complete the film.
Documents which prove exactly what she did and how she bullied her way to take over the movie and used her PR people to try and destroy Justin.
Blake Lively's downfall didn't happen overnight. It came crashing down with a $400 million lawsuit that shattered her carefully curated image. She painted herself as a victim of workplace harassment, with Justin Baldoni, the man who secured and developed It Ends With Us, as the villain. But as details emerged, her victim narrative unraveled. Reports showed she wasn't just acting in the movie, she was trying to take it over. She allegedly rewrote scenes, demanded creative control, and even pushed for final cut approval.
So the iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you now.
And in her complaint, the thing she's bitching about is that this terrible PR campaign that was opened up against her hurt sales of her liquor brand and her hair care products.
And when she didn't get her way, she played the Hollywood playbook, lawsuits, press spin, and complaints, to shift the focus from her own power grab. Then came the receipts. Blake personally invited Baldoni to her trailer multiple times. Suddenly, her claims of feeling unsafe looked more like a PR stunt than a call for justice. What started as a simple casting announcement turned into a full-scale Hollywood coup. Blake sidelined Baldoni, acting as if she were the director, producer, and studio head. When Baldoni, who let's not forget secured the rights to the film, pushed back, Blake did what she does best. She played the victim. Suddenly, this wasn't about her power grab, it was about a woman fighting Hollywood's boys club. But this time, no one was buying it. Leaked reports revealed Blake wasn't just advocating for herself, she was blocking Baldoni from making key decisions.
That Justin Baldoni, ultimately, by the time they got to the premiere, was mandated by Blake Lively to spend the night in the basement away from his co-stars and didn't even get to see the final cut of his own movie because Blake Lively insisted that she be the one to approve it until he watched it on the screen with his editors, who also hadn't seen it because her editors finished it up.
When people started questioning her takeover, Blake flipped the script, turning herself into a victim fighting for justice. But Hollywood has seen this playbook before, and this time, it didn't work.
Blake Lively is very dissatisfied with virtually everything around her and decides to allege that Justin Baldoni, forgive me, very effeminate, evolved, modern feminist man bun kind of guy, is like this virulent sexual harasser who can't stop harassing one of the biggest stars in Hollywood in front of everybody on the set. I've got questions.
At this point, the Amber Heard comparisons are writing themselves. A high-profile actress caught in scandal, playing the victim while actually being the aggressor? Check. A collapsing PR campaign that no one is buying? Double check. A desperate attempt to weaponize social justice movements to cover up her own shady behavior? Triple check. The moment Blake's lawsuit against Justin Baldoni hit the news, people couldn't ignore the eerily familiar tactics. Just like Heard, Blake didn't just defend herself. She went on the offensive, throwing out allegations at the exact moment her reputation started tanking. And just like Heard, she ran straight to the New York Times for a sympathetic headline, hoping elite media coverage would frame her as the innocent victim fighting against a corrupt system.
And Blake Lively went to the New York Times, and the New York Times wrote this sympathetic poor Blake Lively story. Oh, we were all wrong about her and her weird PR. She's actually a good person and a Me Too victim.
But here's the problem. People aren't buying it. After Heard's infamous courtroom disaster, audiences are far more skeptical of actresses who suddenly discover their victimhood when it's most convenient. And when the receipts started rolling in, texts, emails, and first-hand accounts contradicting Blake's version of events, the illusion of her being some powerless, mistreated actress collapsed completely. But here's what really sealed her fate. When Blake's lawsuit first dropped, some people actually gave her the benefit of the doubt. She had spent years crafting the perfect PR polished image, and for a brief moment, it almost worked. But the second her claims started falling apart, people realized this wasn't an isolated incident. It was a pattern of deception, manipulation, and calculated victim playing to cover up the fact that she stomped all over someone else's work and cried foul when it backfired. And just like Amber Heard, the harder Blake tries to sell her victim story, the more people see right through it. Just when it seemed like Blake Lively's PR crisis couldn't get worse, she pulled the oldest trick in Hollywood, weaponizing the Me Too movement to flip the script.
She alleges that she's a Me Too victim there. That's absurd. And I can tell you that as somebody who's not a Hollywood actress, notwithstanding my very short stint in that cartoon Bircham. Okay, but I'm just saying, this person is not an honest broker. I believe her less than ever. I actually disbelieve her fully now.
Right as the media began questioning her actions, she suddenly remembered she was a victim. Because, of course, nothing says justice like perfectly timed allegations that drop just as your public image is in freefall. Blake filed a sexual harassment complaint against Justin Baldoni, accusing him of inappropriate behavior, claims that just happened to surface after he refused to let her take over his movie. But there was one big problem: the receipts. Leaked texts showed Blake personally invited Baldoni to her trailer multiple times, joked around with him, and interacted in ways that seemed odd for someone who supposedly felt unsafe.
They went into my trailer when I was breastfeeding my baby. You're like, that's disgusting. What's wrong with these people? Then you see his text message where she says, come on over to my trailer. I'm breastfeeding baby, but it's fine.
Suddenly, her lawsuit looked less like justice and more like a last-ditch PR stunt. But she didn't stop there. In one of the most embarrassingly transparent moves possible, Blake also accused a producer of showing her an inappropriate image on set, until it was revealed that the image was a still shot of a water birth, shown as part of a discussions about a childbirth scene in the movie. You know, something directly relevant to the film.
Yeah, she says his weird producing partner showed me porn. I'm like, these people are freaks. Then you see what he actually says he showed her, the producing partner, which was she was filming a birth scene in the movie, and it was a still shot of a water birth his wife had at home. You can't see anything X-rated. It's a PG photo. You can't see anything at all. It's like artistic. It made me wish I had a water birth.
But according to Blake, this was proof of a toxic work environment, and yet another reason she was the real victim. And to seal the deal, she ran straight to the New York Times. Because apparently, being one of Hollywood's most privileged actresses wasn't enough. She needed the world to see her as an underdog. But here's the thing, this isn't 2017 anymore. People have seen this script before, and they're not falling for it. Instead of sympathy, Blake's claims were met with skepticism and swift backlash. Her lawsuit wasn't just falling apart, it was actively backfiring, making her look more manipulative, more desperate, and more like the industry villain she was trying so hard not to become. And just like that, her Me Too defense didn't just fail, it completely collapsed. At this point, Blake Lively's downfall was already spiraling, but she somehow made it worse by declaring herself Hollywood's mother of dragons. No, this isn't a joke. Leaked texts revealed Blake actually compared herself to Game of Thrones. Daenerys Targaryen, claiming she had the strongest dragons on Earth to defend her. And who were these dragons? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. Because apparently, Blake thought she could summon Hollywood's biggest names like a medieval warlord. But here's where it gets hilarious. Taylor Swift wanted no part of it. By February 2025, rumors swirled that Taylor was distancing herself from Blake, realizing she was being dragged into a PR war she had nothing to do with. And let's be real, Taylor has enough drama of her own without babysitting Blake's mess.
Are you guys buying that Taylor Swift would choose to remain silent if she thought or knew that the allegations that were being made against Justin Baldoni are true? Brian Friedman needs to get this girl on the stand yesterday. I am telling you, he needs to depose Taylor Swift because she knows something. What it signals to me is that she maybe knew that Blake and Ryan were orchestrating a plan.
I can tell you this, anyone that can provide evidence in this case is going to be deposed.
That's
for
Taylor
sure.
Swift.
She was there for that meeting.
Okay, well, I'm a lawyer. I know what that means.
Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds was reportedly stuck dealing with the chaos at home, likely regretting every second of it. Blake genuinely thought name-dropping Hollywood's biggest stars would shield her from the backlash. Instead, she got silence. Because, shockingly, neither Taylor nor Ryan felt like burning their reputations to defend Blake's ego trip. And just like that, her self-proclaimed Mother of Dragons moment didn't just backfire, it completely imploded. Because when your own dragons don't show up, maybe, just maybe, you were never as powerful as you thought. As if Blake Lively's PR nightmare wasn't bad enough, the internet dug up receipts, and surprise, this isn't her first power move gone wrong. Turns out she's been playing this game since her Gossip Girl days. Back in 2009, Blake admitted in an interview that she turned the entire cast against Penn Badgley, not because he did anything wrong, but simply because she felt like it. He had to work in a hostile environment, while Blake sat back and watched, only to later admit she was wrong after a week of treating him like an outcast. Blake Lively's Hollywood empire is crumbling, and even Ryan Reynolds might be looking for the nearest exit. For years, he played the supportive husband, standing by as she built her Golden Girl image. But now that her reputation is imploding, reports suggest Ryan is exhausted from being dragged into Blake's never-ending chaos. And honestly, it's not hard to see why. He spent years carefully crafting his brand as Hollywood's most likable, business-savvy, funny guy. And now his wife is being labeled the industry's next Amber Heard. Not exactly great for business. And let's not forget, Ryan is a businessman first. With billion-dollar deals like Aviation Gin and Mint Mobile, he's not about to let Blake's collapsing PR image drag him down too. Hollywood insiders claim he's quietly distancing himself, staying completely silent instead of using his usual charm to smooth things over. If there's one thing Ryan Reynolds knows how to do, it's win the public over, but this time, he's staying out of it.
Just like Blake Lively. How dare you? I am subjected to all these stories, right? You're subjected to the stories because you did something wrong, and that's the way the media and the world works, and because you deserve it.
And here's where things get even messier, because even in their personal lives, Ryan and Blake's perfect marriage image is starting to crack. Reports suggest Ryan is exhausted from dealing with Blake's PR disaster and more focused on protecting his own brand than salvaging hers. And honestly, can you blame him? Blake went from Hollywood sweetheart to industry pariah in record time, and Ryan isn't about to throw his career into the fire just to protect her. But here's the real kicker. If you think Ryan is staying out of this mess because he believes Blake is innocent, think again, because the one thing that's become painfully obvious throughout this whole scandal is that Blake Lively is completely on her own. No Hollywood friends stepping in, no co-stars defending her. And now, not even her husband is playing the role of her knight in shining armor. And in Hollywood, that says everything. Blake Lively thought she could manipulate Hollywood forever, crafting a flawless PR image with carefully curated interviews and picture-perfect public appearances. But the thing about manufactured personas, they only work as long as people believe in them. And now, nobody does. The lawsuit was supposed to make her look like a victim. Instead, it exposed her as a power-hungry manipulator. The Amber Heard comparisons were supposed to be unfair, but they're becoming impossible to ignore. Her desperate attempt to weaponize the Me Too movement didn't rally Hollywood behind her. It spectacularly backfired. And even her so-called dragons, Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift, are quietly backing away, leaving her to deal with the fallout alone. This isn't just a PR crisis, it's a full-blown collapse. Her lawsuit isn't holding up, her co-stars aren't defending her, and her once bulletproof reputation is disintegrating faster than she can control the narrative. Justin Baldoni isn't backing down, and now he's suing the New York Times for $400 for publishing Blake's claims without verifying a single fact. And let's be honest, he's probably going to win. Even Colleen Hoover, the author who literally handed Blake this movie, has scrubbed her name from social media like she never existed. When your own writer distances herself from you, you know it's bad. At this point, Blake Lively is Hollywood's most toxic liability, and the worst part? She did this to herself. She thought she could control the narrative, spin the story, and walk away unscathed, just like always. But this time, people aren't falling for it. Her fake victim image, gone. Her Golden Girl reputation, dead. And her career, hanging by thread. Because in Hollywood, you can be powerful, ruthless, even scandalous. But the moment people stop believing in you, you're done. And this is just the beginning.